Hey guys, welcome to this series of In Conversations With, hosted by the BPN, your very own Kiki Paddy here from the BPN. Today I am joined by Karl Brown, a partner at Clarke Willmott here in Bristol. I'm going to be chatting with Karl, and Karl is going to tell us a little bit about himself, and he's also going to give us some insight into his life and his professional life, just to give us a bit of inspiration about how we can all come together as Black professionals in the United Kingdom to progress, enable each other, to influence each other, and to achieve excellence as Black professionals in the United Kingdom. All right then, Karl, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
So Karl, today I'll just start by asking you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm Bristol born and bred. And as you stated, my day job is that I'm a commercial property partner at the national law firm called Clarke Willmott. And in particular, I act for a lot of developers and landowners in buying and selling development land. I also have a number of other roles, and two of the other main roles include being a social mobility ambassador for the Law Society of England and Wales. And I'm also the founder of the Bristol Property Inclusion Charter, which was set up by me last year to try and boost diversity and inclusion in the Bristol property sector.
Wow, Karl, that is very impressive. You've done a lot in your professional career. So what I want to know now, Karl, is obviously from everything you've just said to us, it's not easy moving from, stepping up the ladder and launching all these different endeavors and enterprises. What I'd like to know now is, what strategies do you use or have you used to deal with any barriers that get in the way of you achieving your goals in your professional career?
Well, one of my favorite quotes is from George Bernard Shaw, and he said, "The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for circumstances they want, and if they cannot find them, make them."
Make them, that's
and
right.
The reason I say that as a quote is that that's actually an important part of my strategy. So even if I'm in a particular scenario in terms of trying to advance my career or seek an opening in a particular part of my sector, if I can't see it, doesn't mean that I can't actually try and create it. So, I've carved a niche out for myself within the property industry, in acting for developer clients when they're doing affordable housing sales to housing associations, for example. The other thing that I think I've also learned, probably more with experience, is that it can be tempting as a person of colour to try and underplay your background, try and underplay your particular, what I'd call unique selling points, your characteristics. But what I actually try and do as a strategy is not to try and underplay or downplay it, but to try and maximize it. So any connections which I've uniquely got compared to, say, some of my colleagues because of my heritage as a son of Jamaican immigrants, the skill sets that I've gotten from my family background, such as resilience, determination, focus, I remember that, and I basically try and maximize it to try and succeed in my career. And fortunately, I've managed to make it to be a partner in my law firm.
Wow, that's really impressive, Karl. And I love that quote by George Bernard Shaw. So the next question I have for you is, and I think you've already touched on this, is
Sure.
What practical advice would you give to young professionals out there who would like to get into senior roles, or like you did for yourself, basically carve out a niche for themselves? What practical advice would you give to other young professionals out there?
Well, several bits of advice. First of all, work out what your skill sets are, or what you want your skill sets to be, and try and get as much experience as possible. Go on training courses, work with the leading people within your sector if you can, to try and build up those skill sets and maximize those skill sets. And then the other important thing, the other critical point for me in terms of progression in my career was stepping outside of my comfort zone. Now, I think increasingly in the modern age, it can be quite tempting just to stay within your own circle, not just online, but when we are allowed to start physically networking again, to start just only physically network within your own circle. And I took the decision several years ago to join another networking organisation within Bristol, called the Bristol Junior Chamber. And through that, I got several positions, Chair of Education and Skills. Then I was fortunate to be Vice President, and then fortunate to be their first Black President. But the reason I mention that is that it took me outside of my normal comfort zone of just networking with lawyers or just networking with clients. And, you know, I got to network with people from a whole range of other sectors and industries, you know, such as creative industries, which I don't readily deal with day to day in my job. And it was through doing that I raised my profile. And it was also through going outside of my comfort zone, doing other roles, that I also built up my soft skills experience. And it was through building up my soft skills experience that I was able to, help progress in my day job, but also B, raise my name and raise my profile as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Karl. You've just mentioned stepping outside of your comfort zone, and I feel like that's something that is slightly easier said than done.
Yes, yeah.
and I just want you to sort of elaborate a little bit we're just going to dive in a little bit deeper now, more personal. What was it like for you stepping outside of your comfort zone, and how were you able to just navigate probably the fears, the discomfort of stepping outside of your comfort zone? What techniques, how personal was it for you? What techniques did you use personally that we may be able to borrow from?
Yeah, I mean, we've all been in that scenario where we step foot into the room where people are networking, you don't know anyone else. You do a quick scan across the room and you think, wow, okay, I am the only person of colour in the room. But I think it's, the way I deal with it is just to basically have confidence in myself, that I deserve to be in that networking room as of right. You know, I've got the qualifications, I've worked hard, I've got the experience. And so I really take it from a point of view that I can step into that networking room, again, when we were allowed to network, and, you know, I've got something to offer, not just on a personal basis, but also on a professional basis in terms of networking with other people who aren't within my particular industry. And then the other sort of mindset I also take is not so much step into that networking room thinking, well, what can I get out of it? But it's also seeing, you know, what skills or anything else that I can maybe, suggest to people who I'm networking with. And that's where, you know, you've got the importance quality of not just speaking, but listening as well. Listening to who you're speaking to, just finding out about them, showing an interest in them, and then obviously following that up with some background about yourself as well. And yeah, I think 9 times out of 10, most people who you do that with will reciprocate, and that they're at the very least want to find out what you do in your day job.
Karl, that's really awesome. You've just said a couple of things that stand out to me, and I want to repeat it so that people can actually really take that in. You said one thing, you said being in the room and realizing that you deserve to be here. I've never thought about it like that, because I think sometimes we go in thinking, oh, a little bit tentative, I'm the only Black person here, but that attitude is different. I've never heard anyone say it like that before. I deserve to be here. That's really awesome. The second thing is not just looking at what you can get from the networking, but what you can give. I really like that. So I just wanted to emphasize that for people listening, so that we don't miss that point. So the next question I have for you, Karl, is what does the Black Professional Network mean to you?
Well, I was really, really pleased when Frank and Poco told me about their ideas for launching the Black Professional Network. And, you know, I love my home city of Bristol, but I think one of the things that has really been needed and has been a long time coming has been this type of network. I think to first of all provide a facility or forum for Black professionals to meet each other, exchange ideas, support each other in their careers, etc. But also for me, what's so important is, you know, I've got relatives who are Londoners, so I'm not going to knock Londoners, but you know, quite often in the UK, it's very easy to sort of see the good cities for Black people as being London, Birmingham, and until recently with, you know, the likes of Marvin and Asher, Bristol didn't really get that much of a mention. But I think having the Black Professionals Network helps get that mention. And I hope, and I've said this to Frank and Poco, but that one of the other things that it does is that it persuades not only Black professionals from London and Birmingham and other cities and from the countryside, that if they're interested in Bristol, that it's a great place to live and work. But I also hope that in terms of the Black students that we have in Bristol, and we have a large number, particularly at UE Bristol, that I hope that it persuades them to stay in Bristol in terms of actually seeking a career and actually sort of saying to themselves that they don't need to go outside of Bristol, but there's opportunities in Bristol.
Yeah, that's amazing. There's loads of opportunities in Bristol, and you're right. It's the BPN is putting us on the map as a place where Black professionals across the UK can call home. So that's really awesome. Okay, so now we're coming up to the end of this interview. I have one fun question to ask you.
Sure.
So imagine that you're going to be shipped to a desert island.
Yes.
What 3 items will you take with you and why?
Oh, what 3 items? Well, I think, first of all, and you know, this may be me being a slightly boring lawyer and being really practical, but I'd have to take a portable stove. I love my food too much not to be able to have, you know, decent food. And if it's a tropical island, then I'm going to suggest that maybe it's got foods which are similar to sort of those that grow in Jamaica and the West Indies, where I have my links. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd love to have that portable stove to enjoy that food properly, shall we say. And then in terms of other things, I think it would be a book. You know, one of my favorite books, because I love reading, I love always trying to improve my mind, and I love to try and keep my mind agile. So, yeah, I definitely need that. And then the last thing, in terms of a possession, would be some type of photograph or reminder, of course, of either my wife or other family member, just so that I can keep them close to my heart.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for your time today, Karl. It's been so lovely chatting with you. And folks, all you Black professionals out there, just remember that this is a home for you too. This is a place where you can call a safe home, where you can meet other Black professionals, you can connect with them, you can be influenced, you can, you know, learn new skills. And like Karl says, is that networking. Even though, yes, we can't meet face to face right now, but even our online networks, you can absolutely make some great connections on there. So Karl, thank you so much for your time today. And guys, I'll catch you next time in the series of In Conversations With. Goodbye.
Goodbye.